Hello and welcome to part 4 of turbocharging my W203. In the previous video, we got to start the 3.2 litre inline 6-cylinder for the first time with the turbo. Holy shit! But one major thing I had to do to get the engine to kind of fit in the car, and that's why I have a hole over there, is by making a new custom oil pan. And with this oil pan I made, it can't be removed while the engine is in the car. And we need to get the oil return line for the turbo in there. So as strange as it may seem, the easiest way is going to be to remove the whole engine yet again. I've obviously been procrastinating about this for way too long, and we just need to get it started and get things done. So first things first, let's get the car in the air and go down there and disconnect and unbolt a couple of things. Now that I have the car in the air, let me show you down here what I'm talking about. Here you have the oil pan, and it's in between this front support beam thing and then the steering rack. So there's no way to get that off and drill a hole in it and weld it. So you'll have to take the whole engine out. Turbo your car, they said. It'll be fun, they said. But while I'm under here, like I said, I'm going to disconnect and unbolt a few things. Okay, so under the car, it's a bit difficult to film in here, but I got the exhaust disconnected over there. And then moving back, I also got the speed sensor unplugged. I just have it. So there's the speed sensor. And then I got this bracket for the exhaust that goes from the gearbox to the exhaust. Got that off of there. Also removed the 2 bolts for the gearbox mounting that mounts onto this bracket that bolts onto the body. Also removed the ground cable, and then the 3 bolts for the drive shaft. And then this was the tricky part, but I'm kind of used to it now. It has a trick because it has like weird pin things that you have to remove. So one for the bracket of the shifter and then one for the shifter part itself. But I got them both out of there. And now I just have the exhaust held up with some zip ties, and then as soon as we start pulling the engine out, we can disconnect the hydraulic hose for the clutch. Before I lower the car back down, I still just have the front end in the air. I want to get all the fluids out of the car, so drain the oil, get the water out of there, power steering fluid, and yeah, hopefully I don't make a huge mess on the floor. So while the coolant is draining over there, I'm also going to disconnect this power steering pipe that goes into the power steering cooler thing. And this is also one thing I want to change, so get a different route for that pipe so that you don't see it. So I'm going to take it down and under the engine and then up to the steering pump. No! Oh, that's great. Well, stay in there. No! Woo! Yep, made a mess. Knew it was gonna happen. I knew it. Alright, so I went ahead and got all the injectors unplugged and the coils and all the wiring, and then I also removed the turbo, the downpipe, the throttle cable, and yeah, a few other things. Now we should be ready to remove the engine. Let's get the car pushed back and start taking the engine out. I'm getting pretty good at this, but yes, so now we have the engine just sitting over here on the ground because we went on a little road trip this weekend, and I also picked up 2 more very crucial parts. So I have a small little air filter, and it's a super power flow. And then over here we have something I'm very excited for, but you'll have to wait until the next video, or maybe 2 videos, to see what that is. Can any of you guys guess what this might be? Drop a comment down below what you think that might be. With that being said, I also want to thank you guys for all the positive comments in the previous video where I started the car for the first time with the turbo. I'm very glad you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. We are getting so close to this thing actually coming together and working like it should, and what the dream is for this to be. But let's get the engine back on the hoist and then get that oil pan off. It's always very nerve-wracking to open up the bottom of the engine because there's always a chance that there might be shavings. Hopefully all is well, and we can get the oil return line just welded on there. It'll be pretty easy, so let's do that. I don't see any obvious shavings, which is good, but I did see that. So that's the oil pump rubbing against the oil pan, but over here it looks fine. Got the oil pan cleaned up for the most part. I also knocked that where the oil pan was hitting a little with a hammer. Then I marked out over here, while the engine was still in the car, where the return line needs to go in. So let's get that drilled out. That should work. So let's clean this up with the grinder a bit and then lay some beads on there. Okay. And there we freaking have it, guys. This is where the bung ended up. I think it's perfect and it'll work. So we'll have the oil drain line coming from the turbo, just going straight down into there. And then, like I said, where the oil pump was hitting the sump or the oil pan over here, I just gave that a few knocks with a hammer. So hopefully that'll sort itself out. While I was editing the video, I got a question of where I connect the oil feed line, so the pressure line. So if you come on this side of the engine, you have the oil filter housing, and then this is where I will be connecting the oil feed line, so the pressure line. Mine was just blocked off with an Allen bolt over here, so I took that out and I have this fitting in there. But I think that's going to be it for this video. In the next video, to give you a small hint, we're going to be doing something with this part of the engine, so the gearbox. So get excited for that. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you then.